Be prepared. Your manifestations are finally breaking through the veil. And now, nothing in your life will ever be the same. Everything you've been trying to manifest is already here, but not in the way you think. With Neptune's retrograde portal wide open, your reality isn't arriving, it's unraveling. This isn't just a shift in the sky. This is a slow-motion soulquake. What's been hiding under your daydreams, your fantasies, your one-day plans, is now rising to the surface. And watch out, because soon you're about to come face-to-face with your biggest fear, but not in the way you expect. I'll reveal it soon, so keep watching. And in the last few days, what have you dreamed of? It might mean more than you think. Feel free to share it in the comments. Someone else might relate to it, or even see the meaning you've missed. But here's the twist no one's talking about. This portal doesn't just mess with your senses. You'll actually feel things before they happen. During this Neptune retrograde, your mind may start drifting into strange little thoughts. A sentence someone might say, a funny moment that hasn't happened yet, a song that pops into your head out of nowhere. And then, without warning, it plays out in real life. You won't be trying to predict anything. In fact, the more random it feels, the more real it becomes. It's like you're picking up on reality a few seconds or even hours before it lands. This isn't just intuition. It's like your mind is brushing against the next version of the timeline and grabbing fragments before they lock in. The only reason you'll notice it is because it keeps happening, not once, but over and over. Small, strange, specific details you couldn't have guessed, unless some part of you already knew. If the last few days have felt strange, it's not just your imagination. Something opened. The Neptune retrograde doesn't begin on July 4th. It began bleeding through days ago when the psychic floodgates cracked open on the 1st. And chances are, you felt it in ways you couldn't quite name. Maybe you woke up exhausted even after sleeping 10 hours. Or you found yourself thinking about someone you hadn't thought about in years. Or maybe, without reason, you just knew something wasn't right, or that something was right, but you couldn't explain why. This is your unconscious mind leaking into your daily life. Not slowly, not subtly, but like ink in water, clouding your focus, revealing what's been hiding under the surface. You're not going crazy. You're waking up in a dream that was never really yours. All the versions of you that you buried in order to keep it together are starting to stir again. You might feel distracted, disconnected, or even like time is acting weird, faster 1 minute, slower the next. That's the portal pulling you in. And the farther you go, the clearer the symbols become. Your confusion is the breakdown of illusion. The lines between the conscious and the unconscious aren't blurring, they're collapsing. And now everything you've suppressed is rewriting the script in real time. And if you think that escaping it will save you, think again. Right now, your first instinct might be to disconnect. Pretend everything's fine. But Neptune retrograde doesn't let you float away. Not this time. In fact, the more you try to avoid it, the stronger it pulls you back in. Avoiding a conversation? You'll hear their voice in your dreams. Running from a truth you don't want to face? It'll show up in symbols, signs, and random coincidences until you can't ignore it. Whatever you try to escape during this portal will echo louder in your subconscious. This isn't about punishment, it's about alignment. Because Neptune rules fantasy, illusion, the stories we tell ourselves so we don't have to feel pain. But during retrograde, that illusion loses its grip. You might realize that the path you're on isn't really yours, that the relationship you've been trying to fix is just another distraction, that the life you've built was shaped around fear, not truth. And yes, it's heavy, but it's also the first time in a long time that your real self is finally within reach. This portal brings peace, but only through confrontation. You don't escape the shadow by turning away from it, you escape it by turning the light on. We all like to think we know what our higher self looks like. Perfect posture, says all the right things at the right time, only eats raw fruit under a full moon. But Neptune retrograde doesn't care about the aesthetic version of your awakening. In fact, it's about to dismantle it. Your true higher self won't always look like light. Sometimes it walks in as chaos. This is the season where the masks you didn't know you were wearing start falling off, especially the ones labeled spiritual. You might find yourself doubting your usual practices. Maybe your rituals feel empty. Maybe the mantras that used to inspire you now sound hollow. Maybe you're suddenly questioning who you were trying to impress. That's not regression. That's the real higher self stepping forward, and it's not the fantasy. It's the one that lives underneath all the curated layers. The real higher self doesn't always speak in perfect metaphors. Sometimes it screams. Sometimes it flips your plans upside down. Sometimes it pulls you out of a path that looked right but wasn't aligned. And yes, it can be disorienting. You might feel like everything you were working toward is slipping through your fingers, but that's because it was never yours to hold. It was the dream version of you, not the true version. Your higher self isn't an upgrade, it's a return. Neptune retrograde has no patience for performance. It cares about alignment, realignment, and if your current trajectory isn't in integrity with who you really are, don't be surprised if it collapses without warning. This isn't sabotage. This is sacred disruption. The real higher self doesn't care how pretty your journey looks. It only cares that it's yours. And sometimes, the only way to get you there is to burn the false path to ash. There's a moment in every spiritual recalibration where the world seems to go quiet. Friends drift, messages stop. You check your phone and it's just stillness. And while your logical mind might panic, did I do something wrong? Why is everyone pulling away? Something deeper knows the truth. The silence isn't punishment, it's positioning. When Neptune turns inward, so do you. And that silence you're feeling? It's not abandonment, it's cosmic insulation, a kind of sacred quarantine, a clearing of static so the upgrades can come in clean. Because make no mistake, your system is upgrading right now, emotionally, psychically, energetically. You might feel foggy, slowed down, heavy-limbed, or even like your brain is rebooting. That's not just fatigue, it's real-time rewiring. You're being pulled into solitude not because you're being rejected, but because certain vibrations around you can't come with you into this next version of yourself. Not yet. This retrograde doesn't want you distracted by every ping, every DM, every half-attached interaction. It wants you tuned in, because subtle signs are everywhere, but they're not loud. They're whispers, nudges, glimpses. And sometimes the only way to hear the new instructions is in the vacuum. And don't worry, this isolation won't last forever. The reconnection will come, but when it does, it will be on new terms, cleaner, sharper. You'll know who's still in alignment and who was just filling the noise. Embrace the silence now, because what returns after will no longer echo your past. This is the space between timelines. Don't rush to fill it, just feel it. Because the people, ideas, and energies coming next, they won't fit who you were, only who you're becoming. You can't think your way out, You must feel your way through. If you've been feeling like your brain just isn't cooperating lately, like thoughts come slower, focus slips through your fingers, and you can't seem to figure things out the way you normally do, that's not you failing. That's the portal doing its job. Neptune doesn't operate in bullet points. It doesn't download guidance in neat, linear logic. It moves like a fog, soft, drifting, boundaryless. So when it retrogrades, it doesn't just ask your mind to quiet down, it unplugs it. And yes, that can be terrifying, especially if you're used to solving everything with analysis, with planning, with control. But the truth is, your logic is too small to hold what your soul is trying to receive. This portal is designed to bypass your conscious filters, the parts of you that doubt, that overthink, that try to explain the unexplainable. So if you feel like you're moving slower, like your memories are slippery, or your words don't come out right, that's a feature, not a flaw. Because when the logical mind softens, the emotional body finally has space to speak. You might feel this as sudden waves of nostalgia, or grief that doesn't have a name, or a sensation of remembering something that hasn't happened yet. This isn't the time to try to understand everything. It's the time to sense. You might catch messages not in thoughts, but in textures, a gut feeling, a flicker behind your eyes, a song lyric that lingers for no reason. That's Neptune's language. It speaks in poetry, in déjà vu, in moods you can't explain. So don't force your mind to make sense of it right now. That's not the assignment. The portal doesn't open through intellect, it opens through surrender. Let the fog roll in. Let it erase the old map. Because what comes next isn't a thought, it's a knowing. Watch your nightmares. They're telling you where you're leaking energy. Neptune retrograde doesn't just open your intuition, it shines a flashlight into your shadow. And the place where it speaks loudest? Your dreams. If your dreams have gotten darker, weirder, or more intense since July began, that's not random. That's your subconscious doing inventory. Neptune uses dream space like a diagnostic tool. It pulls your deepest fears, hidden wounds, and unprocessed memories to the surface, not to punish you, but to reveal what's still pulling energy behind the scenes. You might dream of people you've cut off years ago, of situations that never happened, but somehow feel real, of disasters that leave you waking up with your heart racing. Don't brush these off. They're messages from the deepest part of your psyche. Sometimes they point to literal anxieties. Other times, they're metaphors, like being chased, a classic symbol of something you're avoiding, or losing your voice, a sign that your truth is still caged. And here's the wild part. Some of these dreams may predict future moments where your fears get triggered in real time. Not because you're cursed, but because you're being prepared. The dream doesn't create the fear, it reveals the door you've been too afraid to walk through. These dreams are precognitive and reflective. They're pulling your attention to where you're energetically bleeding out so you can finally seal the wound. So if something strange appears in your dreams this week, don't just forget it. Write it down. Sit with it. Ask what it's trying to show you. And most of all, trust that it's not here to scare you. It's here to show you what's next. Because behind every fear is the breakthrough waiting to be claimed. And remember, your dreams aren't fantasy, they're encrypted guidance. If you've been feeling like a walking cloud, heavy-limbed, dazed, maybe even forgetful or emotionally numb, don't rush to label yourself lazy. This isn't burnout, this is Neptune retrograde rerouting your entire system. You're not tired for no reason. You're tired because you're plugged into something bigger, something deep, vast, and invisible to the naked eye. Neptune governs the unseen realms: intuition, dreams, subconscious currents, spiritual memory. And when it goes retrograde, all that energy doesn't vanish, it turns inward. That means your body becomes the stage for some seriously heavy processing. Even if your day looks slow or quiet, your inner world is under construction. And guess when that construction work gets done? In sleep. Dreams right now aren't just dreams. They're integration chambers. Your subconscious is working overtime, releasing old wounds, weaving in cosmic downloads, processing ancestral noise you didn't even know you were carrying. And your body? It's the vessel. It's the grounding rod for all of it. Sleep isn't escape, it's initiation. You might notice more vivid dreams, or even no memory of them at all. Both are valid. Some people are waking up feeling like they lived through an entire lifetime in just a few hours. Others wake up heavier, slower, needing more time, more stillness, more space to even know how they feel. And that's okay. You're not falling behind. You're syncing with the deeper rhythm. If your body's begging for rest right now, listen. Don't push. Don't fight. This isn't laziness. It's your spirit needing quiet so it can speak. Rest is the ritual that realigns your soul. So honor your yawns. Cherish your drowsiness. And if all you can do today is breathe and be, that's enough. You're not lazy. You're upgrading. You're not disconnected. You're being shown the blueprint from above. There's a moment that hits like fog, when you're standing in your own life, surrounded by the familiar, but none of it feels real. Conversations sound distant. Tasks feel mechanical. Even your own emotions feel like they belong to someone else. And suddenly, you're not in your life. You're watching it from above, beside, beyond, like a movie, like a memory, like a dream you're only half awake inside of. This isn't you losing your mind. This is your soul shifting dimensions. Neptune retrograde temporarily dissolves the illusion of linear time and solid identity. It lifts you out of the habitual version of yourself, the version you've been trained to play, and lets you see through it. This floating sensation isn't disconnection. It's perspective. It's your inner being stepping out of the costume saying, look, this is the role you've been playing, but it's not who you truly are. And yes, it's destabilizing. You might feel lost, untethered, like you don't know what you want anymore, or who you were just last week. But that's the point. Clarity doesn't always arrive as answers. Sometimes it begins as disillusionment. When life starts to feel unreal, it's usually because the version of it you've been living isn't aligned anymore. The detachment is your soul creating space, a soft buffer zone, so that the outdated structures can start dissolving without completely overwhelming you. This floaty feeling is a signal. Something deeper is surfacing. A new alignment, a truer path, a shift in how you live your life, not just how you think about it. So don't panic. Don't try to snap out of it. Sit in the surreal. Breathe through the blur. Let the pieces of your old self melt gently into the background. Because once the fog clears, you'll be standing exactly where you're meant to be, in a life that actually fits your soul. You're not drifting away, you're orbiting closer to truth. You're not being punished, you're being awakened. Something strange is happening lately. The very things you used to reach for when life got overwhelming, they've started to fall flat. You open your favorite app, scroll for 45 minutes, and feel nothing. You rewatch your comfort show, the one that used to take the edge off, But now it just plays in the background like static. Maybe you even turn to food, fantasy, just to feel something, and instead of relief, you're met with this weird kind of emotional echo, like trying to drink from a glass that's already empty. If that's you, you're not broken. And no, you're not spiraling. This is Neptune Retrograde, stripping your soul of its illusions, one fake comfort at a time. Because escapism isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. It disguises itself as self-care or unwinding. It shows up in the way we avoid the truth in favor of just one more episode, just one more night out, just one more day of pretending we're okay when we're clearly not. But Neptune doesn't let you pretend anymore. When this retrograde hits, it seals the exits. You can try to run, but the door you used to run through now leads right back into yourself. The distraction you used to lean on will now magnify what you're avoiding. Fantasy won't protect you, it will expose you. Addictions will echo, numbness will feel like a trap, not a refuge. Nothing fake can soothe what's real anymore. And maybe that sounds harsh, but it's not. It's liberation. Because here's what's actually happening. Neptune is purifying your path. It's saying, enough pretending, enough illusions. It's time to meet yourself fully, honestly, and without the mask. And yes, at first, it's going to feel raw, maybe even scary. The truth always does when you've been avoiding it. But after that initial sting, you'll feel something else rise beneath the discomfort. Clarity. You'll realize how much of your energy was being drained by pretending, by pushing things down, by choosing comfort over growth, appearance over authenticity, fantasy over facing it. Escapism delays the pain, but it also delays the power. And here's the twist. When you stop running from the wound, it stops chasing you. Because most of what haunts us isn't what's happening, it's what we refuse to feel. And this retrograde is giving you the courage to finally feel it, fully. Not to get stuck in it, but to release it, integrate it, alchemize it. And in that space, the space where your distractions fall silent, you'll meet something far more comforting than any coping mechanism ever gave you. Your real self. The one that doesn't need to escape. The one that can handle the truth. The one that finds peace not by avoiding reality, but by becoming stronger than it. But here's something most people miss. When escapism stops working, what rushes in next isn't always clarity. Sometimes it's emptiness, a strange, in-between feeling. Like standing in a quiet room after the music stopped, unsure if something's wrong or if you're finally hearing your own breath. This is the uncomfortable genius of Neptune Retrograde. It doesn't replace your distractions with instant answers. It makes space, and that space might feel awkward, boring, even pointless at first. But give it time, and you'll start to notice the whispers, and that's when it begins. That's where the real vision starts to form, not the dream you used to run to, but the reality your soul is ready to build. Something that doesn't need to be escaped from because it finally feels like home. Peace isn't found in the exit, it's found in the return. So if you're feeling like your usual escapes aren't working, good. That means the shift has started. That means you're no longer running away. You're running home to yourself, and once you do, you won't want to go back. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.